People think the next crisis will be loud, but the real danger? It'll be quiet, like an empty stomach and an empty store shelf. The kind of silence that makes people trade their last tool for a bite of rice. And while most are busy stockpiling big-ticket gear, they're blind to the survival value of the things they throw out daily. In this video, we're exposing 9 so-called trash items that'll be worth a full day's meal when everything falls apart. If you don't know what they are now, you might end up trading something you can't afford to lose. So stick around, take notes, and if you find even one item on this list useful, hit that subscribe button. Because this channel isn't here to scare you, it's here to prepare you. Number 1. Used tea bags. You ever toss a used tea bag in the trash without thinking twice? After the collapse, that tiny soggy pouch might be more valuable than what's on your dinner plate. See, used tea bags aren't just about leftover flavor, they're packed with hidden survival power that most folks won't realize until it's too late. Let's start with the basics. Flavor enhancement. In a world where you're boiling the same bland rice or lentils every day, even a faded tea bag can give it a comforting scent, a hint of taste, and a psychological boost when hope is running low. Black tea, green tea, even herbal bags once dried, they can be reused to warm the soul and stretch resources, but that's just the beginning. Used tea bags, especially those made with natural ingredients like chamomile or peppermint, can be reapplied to soothe skin irritations, bug bites, or even minor burns. That's field medicine for zero cost. In a world with no drugstores, you'll be glad you saved them. They also work as natural deodorants or odor absorbers. Drop a dried tea bag in your boots, bug-out bag, or pantry, and it'll help cut down mildew and stink. Some preppers even use them in DIY wound cleaning, especially when soaked in boiled water to create an herbal antiseptic rinse. And don't underestimate the barter value. In the barter economy that always follows disaster, small comforts become major trade chips. You show up with a bundle of clean, dried tea bags that smell like mint or cinnamon? That's more powerful than a pocket full of coins. So next time you're about to toss one in the trash, stop yourself. Dry it, store it. Because when the shelves go empty and medicine runs out, that little pouch could buy you warmth, relief, or even a full day's meal. Number 2, plastic net produce bags. You've seen them wrapped around onions, garlic, or lemons, those red or green mesh bags that usually get tossed the moment groceries are unpacked. But in a collapsed world where every thread matters, these plastic net produce bags become a survivalist's secret weapon. First off, they're tough, flexible, and breathable. That combo alone makes them perfect for things like air-drying small game meat, herbs, or even washed clothes in the Sunday. In a world without electricity, airflow is the only preservation tool you've got, and this netting does the job better than most people realize. Second organization becomes survival. These bags can be used to separate fire-starting tinder, edible roots, small tools, or even spare rounds. When your bug-out bag is your lifeline, keeping things sorted and breathable can mean the difference between efficiency and disaster. Now think about barter. Most people throw these away. But imagine showing up to a barter exchange with a bundle of sorted herbs or dried mushrooms tied neatly in a net bag. It looks clean, it breathes, it's reusable. That kind of packaging adds value to even the humblest items. Need something more tactical? Cut them up and you've got emergency cordage for snares, lashings, or binding splints. Braid a few together and you can create a makeshift net to hang food off the ground and away from pests. Even something as simple as suspending a pot above a fire is possible when you've got netting and some basic knots. And don't overlook fishing. In desperate moments, these nets can be improvised into small fish traps or bait bags. In some survival camps, they've even been used to catch frogs or filter debris out of muddy water. So before you toss that next bag of garlic netting into the trash, think twice. That so-called garbage could be a life-saving tool, or the very thing that earns you your next hot meal when resources vanish. Number 3, cracked coffee mugs. In a world that runs on caffeine, cracked coffee mugs are usually tossed without a second thought. But when everything collapses, utilities, plumbing, supply chains, those same discarded mugs might just become one of the most underrated survival tools you have lying around. Let's start with the obvious, containment. A mug, even cracked, can still hold solid or semi-solid items. Think dry beans, foraged berries, wild herbs, crushed charcoal, or even cooking grease. You don't need perfection, you need functionality. And a cracked mug? That still gets the job done. Now dig a little deeper. That ceramic body? It can withstand heat, making it useful for boiling small amounts of water or sterilizing tools over an open flame, as long as the crack doesn't leak. In survival, boiling isn't just about tea, it's about keeping infections away, prepping meds, and making creek water drinkable. Then comes barter value. People will forget just how comforting a real drinking vessel feels in a world full of improvised survival gear. You show up to a barter circle with a ceramic mug, even a chipped or cracked one, and folks will see utility and familiarity. That's emotional leverage. And don't ignore the scrap potential. Crack that mug further, and you've got sharp ceramic shards that can serve as improvised cutting tools, scrapers, or even defensive tools in close-quarters situations. Some survivalists wrap cloth around a shard and use it for cleaning fish or scraping bark for tinder. You can even use the mug for growing small plants indoors or in compact spaces. A sprig of mint or green onion in a windowsill mug brings not just nutrition, but hope, and that's something most people don't account for until morale breaks down. So the next time you're about to toss that mug with a hairline crack or chipped rim, ask yourself this: when everything else is gone, would a solid ceramic cup still matter? You bet it would. Number 4. Empty soy sauce packets. You've seen them stuffed in takeout bags, forgotten in drawers, or collecting dust in your car's glove box, those tiny, plastic soy sauce packets. Most people toss them. But when the grid collapses and access to food becomes brutal, these so-called trash items could be worth an entire day's meal, maybe even more. First things first, sodium becomes survival. In a post-collapse scenario, you're sweating, hiking, scavenging, and surviving on rationed food or whatever you can catch. Salt isn't just flavor, it's fuel. Your body needs electrolytes to keep muscle function, brain clarity, and hydration balance. Those tiny soy packets? They're concentrated sodium gold. Second, long shelf life. Soy sauce is naturally high in salt, which makes it resistant to microbial spoilage. That means even if those packets are a year or two old, they're likely still usable in emergencies. Most don't need refrigeration, making them one of the few forgotten condiments that stay viable deep into a collapse. Now imagine this. You're eating wild rice, boiled dandelion greens, or bland shelf, stable oats day after day. Morale crashes fast when flavor disappears. But open one soy packet? Suddenly you have taste, you have control, you have hope. That packet becomes more than food, it becomes psychological relief. Barter value? Off the charts. In a survival community where most meals taste like cardboard, even a small packet of flavor can trade for firewood, rope, bandages, or favors. It's emotional currency disguised as trash. Let's go deeper. That little plastic packet, mini waterproof storage. Clean it out, reseal with heat or wax, and you've got a container for fire tinder, powdered meds, or fishing hooks. In fact, some preppers repurpose these for carrying emergency iodine tablets, matches, or crushed charcoal for water filtration. And if you're resourceful, you can squeeze them out into broth bases, mix with boiled scavenged meat or grains, and stretch calories further by making otherwise bland meals easier to consume. In survival, eating isn't luxury, it's compliance. If it tastes better, people eat more and waste less. Don't forget the visual impact. In the barter world, even something as silly as brand packaging triggers trust. You hand someone a sealed packet, not a spoonful of salt from a mystery bag, and that makes a difference. Presentation equals credibility. So before you dump that drawer full of old condiments, ask yourself this. What would one soy sauce packet be worth when food becomes trade? The answer is simple, more than most people are ready to admit. Number 5. Duct tape. Before the collapse, duct tape was just another garage item, a roll gathering dust next to paint cans and loose screws. But when society breaks down and every resource matters, duct tape transforms into one of the most powerful survival tools you can own. Why? Because it solves problems. Fast. In a world where there's no Amazon, no hardware stores, no easy fixes, duct tape becomes your silent mechanic, medic, and handyman. A torn tarp flapping in the wind? Sealed. A broken window letting in cold air? Covered. A cracked water bottle leaking your precious supply? Patched. It's not just for repairs. Smart survivors turn duct tape into makeshift rope, splints for broken limbs, and temporary shoe soles when boots wear out. You can even use it to build snares for small animals, or create feathered fletching for handmade arrows in the wild. And then there's its role in medical emergencies. Got a wound but no medical tape? Duct tape can hold gauze in place or seal a clean cloth over a cut. It's not ideal, but when options are gone, it works. It can also seal off contaminated air from entering through cracks in a shelter. People have even used it to build entire makeshift hazmat suits during chemical emergencies. In post-collapse trade, half-used rolls will be gold. Everyone needs it, but few will have it in supply once stores are looted and manufacturing shuts down. It's the kind of thing you can break into pieces and trade like currency, especially for quick shelter repairs or emergency tool fixes. And here's the best part: it never expires. Toss a few rolls in your bug-out bag, your glove compartment, your underground stash. Years from now, you'll still be able to fix, build, patch, and survive. Duct tape isn't flashy. It doesn't scream tactical. But it's the one tool that quietly holds a broken world together. Number 6, used aluminum pie pans. They look flimsy, cheap, and disposable, the kind of thing you'd toss without a second thought after dessert. But after the collapse, used aluminum pie pans might be one of the most underrated survival assets lying in your kitchen trash. First off, aluminum is non-rusting, lightweight, and heat-conductive, a perfect combo for cooking when proper gear is gone. These pans can be cleaned and reused to cook over open flames, warm up leftovers, or even boil small amounts of water in a pinch. The thin metal heats fast and bends easily, which makes them extremely adaptable in crisis cooking. But their use doesn't stop at food. Flatten one out, and you've got a makeshift signal mirror. Even with some scratches or smudges, a pie pan can reflect sunlight across long distances. It's a fast, passive way to alert rescue teams or signal other survivors, especially from high ground. Now let's talk about deterrence. In rural prepping circles, pie pans are often tied to string and hung near gardens or camps. When wind hits, they clang together, scaring off birds, rodents, or even trespassers. Sound may be a liability in some scenarios, but in others, it's a cheap security measure. Need to collect rainwater? Line a small trench or open container with a pie pan. It's not perfect, but it adds a barrier layer, helping prevent seepage and making it easier to transport. And don't ignore the psychological factor. In a world of broken plastic and rusted junk, the simple shine of a pie pan feels clean, controlled, useful. That visual spark alone can shift your mindset from panic to planning. In barter scenarios, too, these pans have value. People will trade for cookware when theirs gets damaged. And most folks didn't bother to stock backups. They were too busy worrying about ammo and bottled water. So next time you're about to trash that empty pie tin, think twice. You might be throwing away a cooking pot, a signal tool, a pest alarm, and a survival upgrade all in one. Number 7, candy tins. Before the collapse, candy tins were just clutter, those tiny metal boxes you tossed in a drawer and forgot. But in a world where every container counts and every inch of metal has a purpose, used candy tins become pure gold. These small tins, like the kind you'd get mints or hard candy in, are perfectly shaped for micro-storage. Need to keep dry matches safe? A few pills? A mini sewing kit? Candy tins seal tightly, are water-resistant, and don't crush easily like plastic bags. That makes them ideal for EDC, everyday carry, kits, especially in your pocket or bug-out bag. What makes them truly powerful is their versatility. A cleaned-out tin becomes a mini fire-starting kit. Toss in a few cotton balls soaked in petroleum jelly, a flint, and some shaved wood boom. You've got a survival-grade fire starter that fits in your palm. They're also excellent for organizing barter goods. Imagine walking into a post-collapse trading post with loose items now. Imagine you've got them neatly sorted into candy tins, salt, medicine, seeds, or matches. That small difference shows you're prepared, disciplined, and that earns respect and better trades. And here's the kicker: they're non-threatening. Unlike glass jars or heavy tools, candy tins can be carried without suspicion, stashed in pockets, or hidden with ease. That makes them perfect for urban survivors trying to move discreetly or hide valuables from looters. In colder regions, you can even use them to carry hand warmers or flint shavings, ready to spark a fire without digging through a huge pack. And because of their airtight seal, they help reduce scent trails when storing food bits, important if you're trying to avoid attracting animals. Most people would overlook these tiny boxes. But smart survivors, the ones who know how to turn trash into treasure, they see candy tins for what they really are: a compact lifeline, a trading tool, a pocket-sized advantage. Number 8, rat traps. In normal life, rat traps are tossed in the back of storage closets, used once and forgotten. But when the system collapses and food becomes scarce, rat traps quietly become one of the most useful tools you didn't realize you needed. Let's start with the obvious: pest control. In a post-collapse world, rats will multiply fast. With sanitation gone and food left unguarded, rodents will invade homes, gardens, and food stores in no time. A few traps, placed smartly, can prevent a full-blown infestation that could wipe out your entire food stockpile. But survivalists know rat traps are more than just pest killers. These spring-loaded tools are silent, reusable, and incredibly effective, making them perfect for catching small game. Mice, squirrels, chipmunks, all of them can become emergency protein in a pinch, especially when set up with bait near tree lines or abandoned buildings. It's not glamorous, but it's survival. And here's where things get creative. Rat traps can be repurposed into alarm systems. Tie a string or piece of foil to the trap's trigger. If someone steps on it, the loud snap acts like a tripwire alarm, warning you of intruders without needing batteries or electricity. In rural communities, many preppers also use rat traps to protect seedlings and gardens. Mounted near raised beds or entry paths, they keep hungry critters from decimating a growing food source, which, in a famine, could be the difference between life and starvation. They're lightweight, easy to hide, and cost just pennies compared to fancy prepping gear. But after the collapse, finding new ones, that'll be nearly impossible. Which makes each rat trap a valuable commodity, both for personal use and for bartering. You can laugh now. But when your food's vanishing in the night, when squirrels are eating through your insulation, or when you need protein that doesn't waste a bullet, that rusty old rat trap might save the day. Number 9, old pillowcases. Pillowcases, not the kind of item anyone would rush to grab in a panic. But in a collapsed world, where every scrap of fabric has value, old pillowcases become survival. Gold clean, versatile, and quietly essential. Let's break it down. First, they're lightweight and easy to carry, yet large enough to hold a surprising amount. Need to forage wild edibles or carry kindling? An old pillowcase tied at the corners becomes an instant sack. Gathering firewood, hauling supplies, even transporting salvaged food, a clean cloth bag can make or break a scavenging trip. Next up, filtration. In any water crisis, the first step before purification is filtering out debris. An old pillowcase, stretched over a bucket or pot, works surprisingly well to strain out dirt, leaves, and insects before you boil or treat the water. It's not perfect, but it's an extra layer of safety when every drop counts. You can also cut pillowcases into strips to make improvised bandages or tourniquets. Their soft cotton fabric is ideal for wrapping wounds, splinting broken limbs, or even building makeshift slings. And because most pillowcases come from bedrooms, they're cleaner than rags found in garages or attics. Let's not forget personal hygiene. When you can't shower or bathe regularly, a soft cloth is critical. Pillowcases can serve as washcloths, reusable hand towels, or even emergency toilet paper alternatives in extreme situations. Not glamorous, but necessary. And finally, warmth. Stuff a pillowcase with grass, leaves, or crumpled clothing, and you've got an emergency travel pillow or seat cushion. Layer a few together, and you've created additional insulation inside a sleeping bag or winter coat. You'd be shocked how many people will toss out old linens when things go bad, assuming they're useless. But when comfort, cleanliness, and carrying power vanish from society, that faded old pillowcase becomes a quiet survival champion. It's strange, isn't it? The things we once threw away without a second thought now hold the power to keep us alive. A torn pillowcase, a bent pie tin, an empty candy tin. In a world where the shelves are bare and the systems have failed, it won't be your money or your brand names that save you. It'll be your mindset, your ability to look at trash and see tools. To spot opportunity in the forgotten. That's what survival really means. And if you made it this far into the video, I know you're not just watching, you're preparing. You're thinking differently. So join us. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell, because every week we uncover the overlooked, the underestimated, and the life-saving before it's too late.